found a gold ring in a sink trap last month.
Yeah.
You know, in these privies, there's big giant steel traps, and I checked every single one of them. I take a sledge and break them open. Every one I've ever found, hoping I'd find something. Finally found a ring in one, a little teeny small like child's ring. We lost it. We didn't. Gold ring. We didn't. Somebody did. Somebody did.
Hey, is rain your enemy? That's all the truth. Is rain your enemy?
No, we'll dig in rain.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I definitely.
We'll dig in rain. I've dug in snow, coming out of a hole wet where your pants are freezing. But
I got pictures up in Philadelphia about 8-9 years ago. I took a pot-bellied stove up to one site and it was snowing, and it snowed a foot in like half a day. And we're digging up there next to the pot. I think it's on YouTube, I think. But I can't remember. But I'm sitting there next to it. We got our trucks pulled up there. It was the developer gave us permission to dig there, and we found, I don't know if anything here is from that one. We found really good stuff. But yeah, it was, any weather, anytime, if we're getting, we see pieces of this stuff, it gives us energy somehow. It's like, but we keep hitting bricks and it keeps eating the probe. It'll take you 3 hours to dig this length right here in a privy that's full of bricks. And
the top's usually the roughest because they threw the outhouse in on the top, so you're digging through the bricks or
so
bed springs or whatever.
we'll talk about the anatomy of the privy, like how it goes down to when you get to the good stuff.
Right. So the top, the top is usually rubble, right? So there's just because it'll typically sink a little and people start throwing bricks in and all that stuff because they filled them in when they got sewers, which is different times in different places in the city. And so you're digging through that, the rubble, we call it opening up. That's when you take out the bricks, and that's the roughest part. Then you get down to fill, which is usually clay or sand, often with a lot of bricks in it.
Yeah, bricks really kill us.
Washing machines, whatever, all kinds of stuff. But then you get down to what's the use layer, which is decayed, what you went to the outhouse for. And so a lot of it's kitchen rubbish, a lot of it's just plain old human dookie, but
and it still looks the same too. I mean, even the old.
Not.
It doesn't have the shape.
It does not. It does not. I have not found a piece of corn yet.
It's like pudding.
No, sometimes it will decay anaerobically, right? So if it's sealed off and it's not getting any oxygen, it'll turn into like a block, and that's where you'll get stuff like this. It's just, we call it cheese, and it just encrusts, and there's zero oxygen get in, so there's zero decay. So this came out like the day it went in, just like the day it went in.
That was found with 1850s, 60s bottles.
We'll find lamp parts the same way. They come out, they're shiny. Other times it comes out stuff that coins. They're just burnt. They're just toast. It's just a little cookie.
We dug an 1813 or 1819 $50 last month.
Yeah.
And that thing looks really good. It needs a little cleaning, and I know a lot of people are about cleaning coins, but.
Toilet paper.
Yeah, toilet paper. Well, this is it.
And you didn't lose that one, did you?
No, that was the same day actually as the
ring?
Yeah, the ring.
I found a wedding ring too, which always makes me, that's the other thing that I really enjoy about this, and I'm sure you guys are the same way, is you think about the stories, you think about the people who use this stuff. I mean, who throws a wedding ring down a toilet? Like, there's got to be, either it dropped off her finger or there was a disagreement there somewhere. So you think about stuff like that, and then you see things, some people's houses, you find this is a syringe from the 1900s. You find a lot of this. Find opium bottles. This is an opium bottle right here. Some of the opium was meant for infants, which would just kill kids right and left.
Kept them quiet though.
Yeah, it sure did. So you find syphilis cures, cures. You find all kinds of stuff. Children's, where's the child's cup right here. So this was really popular with little kids. They would have these cups, some of them with their names on them, some of them with jokes on them that are really
never weird,
funny. Never funny. Like you think about it, we'll talk about the joke and we'll just be like,
yeah, we get it, but I mean,
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Back in the day, they were cracking up.
Civil War items?
Yeah. Our frame of interest is probably Civil War and back. Anything after that starts to become like, we're not that keen on it, just because there's so much of it, and it's based on rarity, and also just the feel of stuff. Like this is a piece that Tom dug. And this is, you know, early 1700s, and it's got a real kind of handmade feel to it.
Yeah,
Things
it
were
was
very different.
really neat. And that privy right there that came out was never finished.
And this is a cockroach trap. This is, so they would climb up the rough side right here, and then this is glazed in here. They'd slide down there.
I get a story about that.
And there's a cork right here.
Here, let me tell my story. This here was dug in Baltimore in, God, 12, 15 years ago. It was, everybody know where the shot tower is?
Yeah.
Right at the base of the shot tower, that's where this came from. And there was a privy down there, right facing Lombard Street. It was right up against it. Right?
Baltimore?
Yeah.
I thought this was Philadelphia Baltimore.
Yeah, there's a Lombard down there as well.
Okay.
So I found the privy down there. It was a square wood liner, probably about 6, 7 feet deep. I dug it with another guy who was with me, and we went down. I was digging in it forever, and this came out, an 1830-ish cockroach trap. You can see how it's glazed on the inside, rough on the outside. You can put some honey in there, and the cockroaches would walk in and fall into it. And there's how you drained it out. That's what the theory was on this. Well, I'm digging this thing, and it was cold. It was a night like this, just like when it was night, too. We often dug at night. And I'm digging, I'm looking up at Chris, and he's pulling the buckets up. I kept seeing out of my eyes a shininess on the ceiling. And I look up, and I put my light on it, and it was just a huge mass of cockroaches. Hundreds of cockroaches. And as I was breathing and heating it up, they were coming to life, and they're dropping all over me. It was pure horror, and that's where this thing came from. So it was still relevant to the privy.
Still got cockroaches in Baltimore.
Yeah, they're still there, believe it or not.
Someone run the city.
I'm sorry.
Don't archaeology organizations are interested in this stuff?
They do, but they all, yeah, we actually have made a lot of friends in the archaeology world, but previously they weren't as keen to us and didn't take to us as well. But they also have learned that they don't have the access that we do to stuff. They have to follow OSHA and things like that, whereas we don't have that. We're digging private property on private land with permission or not. But sometimes we dig, like something like that. I just went up and found the privy. It was a construction site right there. It was a whacked out construction site. I don't know what's there now, I can't remember. But yeah, sometimes the archaeologists, like we always, like they're real interested in our folk art type plates, and some of these ceramics are really super interested. Not much here that's really that important. But we do have a lot of friends that are.
This actually turns some heads.
Yeah,
This was Philadelphia copying, basically ripping off England and their wares. Philadelphia Queensware started getting made around 1800, and this is called wormware, the way the pattern is. And that was like a big. It's like it has political implications, the way from what it is and when it was made and stuff like that. So we have people that we contact and who we make our collections open to, but I've also had people that I met at parties who were archaeologists just turn on a heel and walk away.
Yeah, they don't like.
They think
Consider
the same.
them pirates or
Well,
They want to be paid.
Quite frankly, though.
I'm not an archaeologist. I mean, like I'm interested in context, but I'm not counting peach pits. Like I'm more about the artifacts.
Well, quite frankly, a lot of this stuff, most of this stuff here was saved from certain death. I mean, would have been trucked away in a truck. I mean, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's why we are leaving here tonight. We're going to Philadelphia, the place that we're digging. We have to get to it tonight because they're going to dig it. It's going to be gone in the morning. Gone.
But you can tell. I mean, and again, back to the stories about the people. I mean, in the 1840s, my neighborhood was burned. Like 1844, the neighborhood was burned. It was the nativist riots, and it was a big deal. And this is a piece that we dug not far from there. It's a piece of Prattware, and it's an anti-Irish joke. Basically, it's the Pope and John Bully, and they're basically making fun of Irish people because they were the illegal immigrants of the day. And that was a big deal. And then this is when the Chinese people were working. This is a soy sauce. They came to work on the railroads in the 1890s. This is like the latest thing we have here. It wasn't so big over here, it's more out west, but it's kind of cool that this came all the way from China.
Yeah, we didn't know what that was when it was found, and we asked one of our archaeologist friends. She told us what.
When do you work?
What's that?
When do you work?
I'm retired.
Okay.
Not me. I work today, and I work tomorrow.
I worked as I was a landlord, but I worked in the special effects business. So for years, I didn't have any time, and now I don't work at all if I don't have to. Yeah.
Sorry, because That's
When
it.
you
Young
dig
man's-
that,
Yeah,
right, you're down inside this hole,
Uh-huh.
are you just scraping up a little bit at a time as you go? I mean,
So-
how do you find a big bottle like that without hitting it?
So we're digging with a shovel till we get down to layer, and then we're using a rake. But even with a shovel, I can tell putting it into the ground. Like you get good with a tool, you know what you're into.
If you hit something down in there, then
Back off.
you
Yeah.
start taking your time.
We use
Exactly,
we
yeah.
call it scratcher. It's basically a 4-point
Clam
hoe.
rake, yeah.
It looks like a clam rake, and we cut the
Saw it off,
you
yeah.
saw it off short,
Yeah.
and then we just use that to rake. And you can tell when you're into stuff, and you don't break stuff that way. It really works out well.
And then you're raking it up and you're raking it into a bucket, and then it goes up, and then the guys at the top are having a look at it to see if you missed anything, because they're bored, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's another piece of local interest. This here ovoid jug. This is 1810-ish. This was dug where which stadium's closer to the city? The Ravens or the
Camden.
Camden? Okay, this was dug in Camden Yards, before Camden Yards when they were cutting the hole. And this is beautiful. This is one of my favorite digs. It was in a wood barrel privy that was in a big pit that they were digging out.
Babe Ruth's house.
Yeah, could have been. Actually, that was Babe Ruth's house was close to there, and not there though. This was Babe Ruth wasn't even thought of in 1810. So, but yeah, this is another Baltimore piece right here. I really like this a lot.
So Tom, do you guys go to a site that has been initially leveled for construction?
We do if
But
we're
try to get
allowed
in before
to.
they
Now
start
because we're
excavating.
old men, we have to go when we're allowed to.
Yeah, we're doing a lot less hopping fences.
It used to be in the good old days. We used to just go walk right in. Now,
Oh, up in Philadelphia, it didn't matter. I mean, when I lived in Philadelphia a long time, and back in the day, it was just, nobody cared. Like, you just did whatever, and it didn't matter. Now it's a
Yeah.
little bit more, but our preference is to go in when it's, we call it cut down. So they've cut down, say, where we're going tonight, they've cut down probably 5 foot.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they cut out that, so we've got that opening up part done. So we're only gonna go down, we're hoping,
Got the hard part done.
yeah,
most
exactly.
of this stuff only is in the bottom, this much layer.
Yeah,
The rest
typically,
is all
because that
filled
layer will
bricks and stuff, so
compress
it's a lot of work.
as it decomposes, it'll compress.
On the deep ones, do you ever worry about any methane or oxygen depletion?
No, I'm perfectly healthy. Look at me, I've done probably 1,000 turkeys.
No, I don't, because it's not it's not active. If it was open and generating methane, I would worry more about it, but you're actually evacuating it, and it doesn't have time, you're not like generating methane. Well, I mean, there's a certain amount of methane.
Yeah, there
generated.
was a couple nights ago.
Yeah, it was, happened in a hole, but you're not enough to kill you. So, yeah, I'm not worried about it.
I have.
But I'm just, I mean, and it has occurred to me, I walked into a well one time. We opened up a well that had been, we didn't know how long it had been sealed up, and I was a little bit worried about it. So I went in before I pushed my son in. But
He was like 8, so
he went down, he found a snake, he came out with a snake, he was really happy.
Yeah, there was a
Do
snake.
the contractors, when they start leveling all that, do they run into these structures?
Yeah, they cut them right in half. That's what I was getting at before.
Do
They're
they
gone.
tell you, can they?
We have guys that we work with.
Yeah.
That, you know, for
We've befriended a lot of
cases
people up
of
there.
deer and whatever.
Hey, there's one over there.
Yeah, and they also call us up and try and sell us stuff too, which is.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's people who, I mean, make their living doing it.
Yeah, like there's scrappers and stuff. This is a piece of lead. There's people who are still drinking water out of lead pipes in Philadelphia. This is pretty common. A lot of guys will come in and scrap this out when they're digging holes. This here lead, I remember this came to a privy. A lot of the privies where they put it in lead pipe in the 1880s, where they got flushers, where they could actually flush the toilet out there in the back. So but yeah, this here is, there's currently active lead pipes.
Which is what ended privies, because when everybody started flushing, the privies would just fill up with water, and then they'd be running out into the street.
Yeah, and it was pretty nasty. Baltimore had that problem.
What's the most expensive thing on the table?
Table?
Through your history, or through your, like,
I'd say probably that ovoid drug, or this piece
Yeah.
here.
We have drug a 5-figure plate.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's been some special stuff we've dug over the years, but for the most
But
part, I gotta say,
when you average it out,
yeah, if you go man
getting rid
hours,
of, I
it's like all the free gold you found, you know? You average it out.
you could probably buy this, one like it for what, $400 or $500.
More than that,
Probably more.
like
We'll sell this.
15, 9. Yeah, but we'll never sell that.
Like, for example, so
When Tom dies, I'll get his half of that.
yeah, this is some of the stuff's still mutual, like mutual property. Usually at the end of several days, we'll go have a little party at his house, and then we'll do picks. Okay, he'll draw straws. We'll draw whoever gets the short one, and he gets to go first, whoever, and we'll just go.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This is
That's
this is what you would do your business in at night if this was the portable. You take it back
It
to
still
the-
works pretty good for us.
Yeah. No, I have had coffee at a smaller one.
Yeah, we have. Actually. Yeah, we're kind of like
I don't.
surprised we haven't dropped any bombs or shocked anybody yet.
Yeah, I
We
don't
have some
mind.
colorful conversations when you're privy digging. I mean, it's
And how far back do your pipe bowls go?
those pipe bombs are pretty early. Some of them.
This one is the earliest one on the table, and this one's kind of cool. We found this in Privy that just didn't have anything else in it. But this is
Remember that?
probably 1720s.
Wow.
But what's cool about it is it used to be about this long,
Right.
and it's been sawed off. Like, I mean, clearly they broke it off because they would do that when they would get clogged or whatever. But also, it's been smoothed around here, and I think it's like a one for church, Like if you had like a sneak-a-toke,
Right.
Yeah.
I always thought
Burn
that
one in the privy.
the plain ones were penny pipes, and then the carved or molded ones were a little more upscale.
That.
They're all disposable. They're
Yeah,
all
that's what
pretty
I'm
much
saying.
disposable. And
They didn't last.
you can definitely date them by the shape and by the size of the hole and et cetera. And this one, I was telling somebody else, this is Franklin Pierce. This is our 14th president that we've
Wow.
given out as political things. And,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a little run of those. They came in different colors and
Cool.
different presidents.
And then this is a bone-handled toothbrush. So big pig's bristles in there. We find these that are kind of ornately carved, which is kind of cool.
These here, another byproduct of privy, you can find lots of marbles. And these, almost every one of these went through the dryer in my house. Because when we find them, we put them in our pockets.
Yeah.
Like, and forget about them. And then my wife just has a little
They
pile of
feel
these next to
That's what it
the dryer. All the buttons, all those little ceramic or porcelain buttons.
And bone buttons.
Bone buttons.
We also find shell buttons because people would actually make their own buttons out of shells. They would drill into the shell, so we'll find the blanks, shells with holes drilled in them, where they made the buttons, which is kind of cool.
You can-
Toys.
What's
Get a
that?
lot of toys.
We find dolls.
Yeah, dolls,
Porcelain
yeah.
dolls. There's the kind of things that survive. We
Doll
find-
arms, legs.
Yeah.
No bodies?
Not yet. Well, in Baltimore, I've seen them down there. You know the deal with that.
But
Fresh
rag dolls don't last. Dominoes, dice.
Pig bones.
Yeah.
Tons of bones.
Yeah, what people were eating too. Some places clearly turtle soup is what they
How
had.
many toys out of lead and, pewter and stuff like
We're,
that?
You don't
we're,
see
old,
much.
we're older than that.
Yeah,
they weren't really around in the time that we.
You guys ought to check out our friends, they have a podcast called The Bog House. We dug their privies in the basement. The Bog House is like an Australian word for,
So they bought a place at front in Callow Hill, and we ended up digging. They dug their privy and ended up. It was the first privy ever, and beginner's luck. It was about 8 foot deep, and it was loaded with pretty much priceless historically
Yeah, it was really
significant artifacts. Yeah, and like serious stuff. And then we dug another one with them, and that was also amazing.
and right now that's in
Colonial.
progress. And they have, if you follow their, I think they have a Facebook page.
Yeah,
And you'll see the artifacts, hundreds and hundreds of bones.
colonial wear stuff. Yeah.
It was great. It was really good. They interviewed us for one of their podcasts, and it went over pretty well. And that's they're like caught the interest well because of Melissa. She's a composer. Yeah. They caught the interest of all the archaeologists too. So they're like best friends with them all because of their finds in their privy.
They're pretty significant stuff.
Yeah, they really.
Some of the first hard-paste porcelain made in the U.S. Stuff that was built by the Kelowna ware, which was made by slaves. Very interesting array of artifacts.
You know why there was so much ash in there?
Why?
That's what they used to keep the smell down.
Oh,
Oh, sure. It's like-
that, and also everybody heated their houses with that. I mean, that's
They dumped that
And then the
in.
municipal stuff, like when we find the
Yeah.
municipal, like a lot of times the city would dump the ash in there when they filled them in because it didn't compact as much and they had to get rid of it somewhere as well. And there's a certain kind of ash that we find that we're never happy with. Because
Yeah.
that usually means that they dug it all the way out. because there was ordinances about them having to empty it before they filled it back in, because it was presumed that disease came from the smell. And that if you left that in your yard, the miasma coming out of that would make people sick. That's what gave people yellow fever and such. Yes?
So I have a friend that does the, proving, but they volunteer with the Genealogical Society for unmarked graves. Have you guys ever come across graves as you're doing?
Yes.
I know your older stuff where all the wood's rotted. They normally do the ones from 1900.
Yeah, I was digging in, when I started digging in Norfolk, there was a church down there where the mall is, and I was digging what I thought were privies, it was graves.
Yeah.
And some of them had stuff in them. I mean, like people, subsequent houses that were there, they had thrown, they probably did the same thing, dug them out. And then up in Philly, you often find, not as much anymore because there isn't as much real estate that's available, often find graveyards that were unmarked and dug up by the construction sites. And I've walked up and seen bones and skulls and femurs and clothing everywhere. They do their due diligence to follow up as best they can, but then again, there's people getting, payoffs and things like that.
Also, but even when you go legally, when the contractor's obliged to call the coroner when they find a body, the coroner immediately says that's, 200 years old. You're supposed to put it in a separate dumpster, and it goes to a different part of the landfill. Like, that's as extensive.
That's a reburial. That's the legal reburial.
That's as much as it gets, so it's not really a big deal.
Guys?
Like,
Yep. Just want to open it up for the last couple minutes of questions. So this has been really good. You guys could regale
Glad
us
you
all
liked it.
night.
Yep.
I mean, and it's terribly interesting.
we do this a lot. We do this in historical societies all over Philadelphia, and this is the first south we've come, but we enjoy it. We get a kick out of it, get to meet a lot of nice people, and
Thank you.
sharing our fun.
Sure.
Good. So let's take our last 2 or 3 questions for these guys.
Yes, sir.
I've got one about where typically, I know in the city, the privy is located where, in the backyard, and the backyard is not very big, so it's kind of limited, but I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, that like in a country place, the privy is usually located downwind. So if the prevailing wind, like from around here down in the northwest, then the privy is located to the southeast of the house. Is that generally
That makes
correct?
sense to me.
It makes sense, and a lot of times the privy is given away in country sites by a lilac tree or something like that, but something with a good scent. But yeah, I don't know. I never, quite frankly, I've been to hundreds of sites and I've never thought of that, but that's possible. I mean, that thing stinks. I mean, but
Do they still stink?
yeah, they have a special smell to them that we know and love. And when you get down to the muck,
Some do, some don't. Like, depends, anaerobic, when they decay anaerobically, the bacteria in that give off a special smell, and it's almost like diesel.
yeah, and it's distinct. It's the same in Norfolk as it is up here in Baltimore.
But there's trends, but some of them are particularly awful.
Same
Probably
with
hydrogen sulfide. I was a fossil digger, and you get to a certain layer, boy, it's more like hydrogen.
Yeah.
Well, that's like what Kevin was digging the other night. Remember, we're standing around the top, because usually if you see privy diggers have been there a while, you'll just see a bunch of guys standing there like this, and you won't see the guy in the hole digging. You're like, why are those guys just standing around like that? Well, we're waiting for him to say up, when we pull a bucket of dirt up. But as we pull every bucket of dirt up, it pulls a blast of wind of like the smell of that shit that was down there. And it has an interesting smell.
I lost interest
Yes, sir.
already.
Is there any place that you can send a piece of ceramic or artifact that can be dated?
Best bet is to go on Facebook and find those bottle digging.
We're not doing it through chemical analysis, if that's what you mean, like carbon dating.
Right, right.
No, we don't do that. I mean, we're looking at trends, we're looking at styles, we're looking at context, and that's what we use to date it. We're not looking for chemical dating.
Speaking of that, I mean, you want to know, like, this right here is the contents of one privy we dug the other night. This is
Minus
only
the good stuff,
1820. Yeah, well, we took all the good stuff out. But I mean, look at this. There's a beautiful flask that was broke. This is everything. This is this little story of these people's lives right here.
But you can really tell from that what time period. Like one piece, you could go, well, that could be 1840, or that could be 1720. Anywhere in that range. But when you put it as a whole, you can get like a 10-year range usually.
Yeah, so looking at that, that's my point. You get a general idea knowing that flask.
But we're not real scientists.
No, don't mistake us for scientists. We're not. We're just guys that like to dig holes and find.
Yes, sir.
What's the ratio of like stuff you find that's kind of intact versus broken? Get the piece back together.
Huge ratio of broken, and failures. you
So
know.
finding one complete
Yeah.
piece is kind of.
No,
a
there's
big
trends.
deal.
Sometimes you'll find like, when I found this in Lancaster, there was another one just like it. It wasn't broke. This has a little chip. And everything in it was full. And then there was another privy just far away from it, and everything was smashed. Because there were cleanouts. They did clean these things out.
I was telling somebody the other day, my son dug 2 intact chicken eggs that were 20 foot under the surface, that had been there for close to 200 years. So it's possible, but then you also find, you know, we find these broken all the time. So, you know, it takes a lot to break one of these. It just depends on, I mean, mostly what we find is broken, and most of the broken stuff isn't all there. So we'll find like 20% of something that we really wanted that's just not gonna come. But with these,
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Yeah, there's a story. You know, these things, if you look closely at this, when you get a chance, you can see all the knife marks in this for people cutting. That's
that's
day in the
lead
life,
glaze
you know.
too, actually.
It's lead, yeah. So these people
Makes
probably
you
died as a result of eating off this stuff.
Violent and stupid. So
The water pattern, I love that. But yeah, I love seeing the evidence of an actual day in the life of somebody cutting a piece of meat on this plate. This plate was found, I think, the day I met you up
Yeah.
there in that site on Howard Street.
But a lot of these were not 100% intact, and I've actually made pieces to go in there. So I always leave it a little bit off color on the back so you can tell, because I'm not trying to fool anybody, but just for presentation, you can, you know, like that.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Oh, we got another question?
Oh, last question. Okay.
I was just gonna ask what do you use to put pieces together, like certain type of glue? Or?
Yeah, Elmer's school glue, the cheapest stuff, because if I've done it wrong or if somebody in the future wants to change it, you dump it in a bucket of water and it goes away.
Yeah, we're only temporary owners of this stuff, you know? So when we die,
Somebody
somebody
else
else
will
has
be
to sell
burned.
it.
Yeah.
But that-
Throw it all on a privy.
Yeah, there you go.
We do a good job?
Far and wide, let's go ahead and take before we do that, I just want to say, the club wanted to give you guys something for coming down all the way.
Oh, thank
And give us a great presentation about.
Oh, wow.
You're very welcome.
Well, thank you so much.
very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. You too. Yeah, if you guys want, you're gonna take a break?
We're gonna take a break,
We'll leave this out then. You don't
remember
wanna-
Leg of Gold, vote for the club favorite. Take a 10-minute break, be back here around 8:25.